Hey fish heads. Today I want to talk a little bit about silicone and some of the misconceptions that crop up around it. I get comments, and usually the comments are pretty stupid and lame. Like this one that's just, it will leak. Like, there's some magical factor in putting silicone on glass that's going to create some kind of barrier that causes it to fail in the way that I did it, cleaning it off with a razor blade, versus the way that somebody else might have done it, which is also cleaning it off with a razor blade. What are you even talking about? I make references to things a lot in some of my videos. Like, if I'm putting in an acrylic window, I might mention the fact that the GE silicone for like, if I'm putting in an acrylic window, I might mention the fact that GE silicone for plastics is a garbage product with terrible product regulation. The quality assurance is awful, and of the times that I've purchased it, like 4 of the 5 times I've bought a tube of it, it has been bad in the tube. And me bringing that up is something that people take personally because they chose to use it for their project. So the fact that I'm bad-mouthing it makes them defensive, as if I'm bad-mouthing them, and I'll get comments that are like,
well, why aren't you telling people that the stuff that you're recommending has anti-mold agents in it?
because they don't. One of the things that's really funny about this to me is, for decades, people have been recommending the use of GE Silicone 1 because it has no mold agents. You know, it's a garbage product. It's trash. That's the reason that it's priced as low as it is. It's fine for, 10-gallon tanks, 20-gallon tanks. I will use it for those things because it's just dirt cheap. But it's a garbage product. I don't know, like 8 months ago or so, they changed the packaging, and I don't know. I went and I bought a tube of the new packaging just as a demonstration, but my cousin has been doing a mural for us, and everything in the room is rearranged because of that, so I have no idea where the packaging went. But they changed it, and they put, I think, 7-year mold-free guarantee on the packaging. And people in fish forums all over the world just kind of temporarily lost their minds about, well, what do we use now? Because this has that additive now. Knowing that these silicones don't have that additive, I went ahead and I reached out to Momentive, which is the company that actually produces all of the stuff in the GE line. And I say, has the actual formula of this stuff changed, or is this just a marketing term to reflect the fact that silicone is naturally mold resistant? And the response that I got back from Momentive was, yeah, it's just a marketing change because silicone is mold resistant. That's what the term means on all of the tubes. That's what we're talking about, is the fact that it's mold resistant. When you look up the safety data sheets for these things, they don't list any antifungal agents. And a lot of people come to the idea that that means there's antifungal agents that you can list without listing on the data sheet. And I've spent quite a lot of time looking for any sort of reference to the idea that you can put some kind of antifungal agent in something without listing it, and I can't find any references to that anywhere outside of just like weirdo conspiracy things on fish forums. If you happen to know of a chemical that you can put into something like that without having to list it on the safety data sheet, despite the environmental impact of products like that, go ahead and drop a comment, but I'm going to go ahead and say that's a bunch of bullshit, because there are silicone products that do add antifungal agents. When they add them, they make a big deal about the fact that they added them. They're all over the packaging, telling you, we have this particular additive added as a marketing gimmick, because they have to separate themselves out. If they were doing that here, they would tell you, because other people are saying anti-mold guarantee, or mold-resistant guarantee, just by the virtue of what silicone is. So it doesn't make any sense to assume that they would be secretly putting things in to make the product better when they could tell you about it, and then you'd buy that one and not the competitor on the shelf. Like, it doesn't make any sense. That's not how capitalism works. The other comment that I get all the time is, well, these silicones have a bunch of toxic things in them. If you look at the safety data sheet, there's like cancer risks and all sorts of other things associated with these, and these are dangerous. But literally everything in an uncured silicone is like gonna kill you. It's all dangerous stuff. Vinegar is classified as a carcinogen, and it's got all sorts of warnings when it's on a safety data sheet. So, like, the fact that they say that there's something dangerous in it doesn't matter, because the cured product is different from what's in the tube. Gorilla Silicone uses benzene. Now, benzene evaporates very quickly. People see that and they go, well, it's got benzene and that's toxic, so it's going to kill your fish. But it's not just like hanging out in the silicone forever. In order to get those chains broken apart, to get the benzene out, you have to boil the silicone in oil. And at that point, you've got bigger problems than benzene. Any of the rest of it that doesn't get bound up, the stuff is extremely volatile and it's going to evaporate in like 48 hours at worst. Stop eating me. I don't have any greater point than that. I just think it's funny that people take it so personally that I insult something that they use, that they feel like getting defensive and start making wild, goofy claims about. I think it's important to understand that there aren't a whole bunch of antifungal agents in silicones. That the problem is that the curing is not well understood. The problem is that people are impatient idiots. You should not fill up a tank 48 hours after applying the silicone. If you're going to work on a project, give it a week. Whether you're using Silicone 1 or Silicone 2 or anything else, give it time to do what it needs to do. Don't be an impatient idiot because you're working with living creatures. People don't like that. They see on the forum that you have to wait 24 to 48 hours. They just assume that's enough. And then they go grasping for straws for why it didn't work because they followed the rules and they followed the thing on the container. And the container is talking about how long it's going to take before you can work with something that has it on it without getting it all over you and having it splooch out, not how long it's going to take for it to fully cure. They can't know that. It's going to depend on how thick it is. It's going to depend on where you put it. It's going to depend on airflow. There's a lot of things that go into it that mean that the label is useless. So when people think that they killed their fish because they had antifungal agents in them, no, you killed your fish because you're an impatient dickhead. Anyways, that's it for today's rant. See you guys in the next one. Bye. You should not up a 48 hours after a if you're gonna work on a give it a week.